Welcome back to CinemaScoop. Today we're diving into the thrilling world of the 2013 zombie horror film, World War Z. Spoilers ahead. On a normal morning, two children burst into their parents' room, jumping on the bed in a playful start to the day. Gerry, their father, serves up pancakes in the kitchen while the news plays in the background. Reports of riots and martial law in various parts of the world flicker across the screen. But Gerry reassures his family that his days in such dangerous situations are behind him. As they set off for school, the family finds themselves stuck in traffic. They notice the number of helicopters in the sky is unusually high, and a news report about a rabies outbreak in Taiwan catches their attention. Suddenly, chaos erupts. A cop on a motorbike smashes their side view mirror, an explosion rocks the street ahead, and a truck plows through the traffic, causing chaos. Gerry's instincts kick in. He follows the path of destruction, navigating through a city on the brink of crisis. However, when Gerry attempts to ensure his kids' seatbelts are on, an ambulance slams into their car, but they manage to escape unscathed. As they run, Gerry observes a chilling scene. A woman is bitten by a zombie, and within moments she turns into one herself. Gerry watches and analyzes. Then Gerry and his family manage to commandeer an RV, driving through the city as zombies ravage the streets. They eventually make it to a road outside the city, but their ordeal is far from over. Gerry's daughter Rachel has an asthma attack and they don't have her inhaler. Gerry's phone rings. It's Theory, a former colleague, who promises to send a chopper for them. They arrive in Newark, seeking refuge in a store already stormed by desperate people. Gerry and Rachel head to the pharmacy for her medicine, while Karen, Gerry's wife, and their other daughter Connie gather food. A tense encounter with an armed man in the pharmacy ends surprisingly peacefully, with the man helping them find the medicine they need. But outside, chaos reigns. Gerry and his family are forced to abandon the RV and seek shelter in an apartment building. Pursued by relentless zombies, they make their way upstairs and seek refuge with a nice family in their apartment. As night falls, the kids rest as Gerry finds his family now in a tense standoff with the zombies. Gerry's family is safe for now, but they're trapped in the building, with a horde of zombies just outside their door. The future is uncertain, and their survival hangs in the balance. In the quiet of the night, Gerry stumbles upon a radio broadcasting an emergency message. The unidentified virus has spread across the state, and everyone is advised to stay indoors. The gravity of the situation sinks in, and Gerry is plagued by nightmares of the horrors they've witnessed. The next morning, Gerry makes a difficult decision. He convinces the other family to join them on the rooftop, where they plan to signal for extraction. However, the parents remain hesitant, insisting they are safer in their apartment. So Gerry leaves with his family. The journey to the roof is fraught with danger as the building is now teeming with zombies. The zombies have broken through their barricades and are closing in. The family makes a desperate dash for the roof, narrowly escaping the clutches of the undead. All of a sudden, the son of the parents who gave Gerry's family refuge runs to join them. Once on the roof, they light flares to signal the chopper, but the noise attracts the zombies, who begin to swarm. Gerry, in a moment of self-sacrifice, holds the zombies away from his family, fighting them off as Karen and the children escape onto the chopper. Just as Gerry is about to be overwhelmed, soldiers from the chopper come to his aid, providing cover fire so Gerry can make his escape. As the chopper lifts off, the zombies throw themselves after it, falling off the building in a horrifying spectacle. The chopper lands on a UN ship in the Atlantic Ocean, where Gerry is greeted by Thierry. He learns that he is urgently needed back on the job. The world is in chaos, and Gerry's expertise is needed more than ever. Inside the command station, a think tank is brainstorming over the virus. Dr. Fasbach, a young virologist, believes that finding the origin of the virus could lead to a vaccine. Gerry learns that the term zombie was first used in a memo from South Korea, and a plan is hatched to send Dr. Fasbach there to investigate. So Gerry and his team head on their way to South Korea. He tells Fasbach that he needs to follow the soldiers' orders. Gerry also tells him to call out anything he sees as important so they can make it happen. Fasbach thinks that they'll find something there and says that sometimes what might seem like the most brutal aspect of the virus turns out to be its fault. Meanwhile, the ship is relocating all non-essential persons off board. The airplane lands in South Korea, even though no one answers from the base to confirm if they can. The hatch opens and the team begins to move out when they hear something outside. They exit slowly when zombies begin to attack. Fasbach gets scared and runs back to the plane, slips and falls on the gun, accidentally shooting himself. The soldiers fight off the zombies and proceed to the base without Fasbach. Once inside, they are met with the soldiers from the base who ask them why they're there. Gerry tells them about Fasbach, then the pilot asks about refueling. Captain Speak explains that when it comes to it, they'll have to be very careful because the zombies are drawn to noise. He tells them that headshots are the ones that do the trick, but they also burn the bodies when they can. He asks Gerry what he'll do since Fasbach is dead. Gerry explains the memo with the word zombie. They take him to a holding room with burned bodies and explain that all of those were soldiers trying to detain their doctor. He bit all of them. The only thing they know about how he got the virus was that a soldier that had disappeared a week before had bitten him. When the doctor returned, he bit as many as 15 men. Unfortunately, the documents with which Gerry could track the soldier that bit the doctor were also destroyed in the fire. Speak tells him that one of his men didn't get attacked by the zombies, even though he was right in the middle of them. Gerry sees a former CIA agent in holding and talks to him. He'd been selling guns to North Korea, but he tells Gerry that guns are only half measures. The ex-agent pulls out his last remaining tooth and tells him that they pulled out the teeth of the entire population in 24 hours to stop the spread. Gerry calls it bullshit. Then the man says that Israel is the only country winning the war by building an entire wall around Jerusalem, and he tells Gerry who to find there. Later, Gerry tells his pilot that they are going to Jerusalem. The soldiers prepare Gerry and his team to get on the plane. Speak has an entire strategy on how to handle the refueling of the plane. Gerry and his team ride to the plane on bikes, and the soldiers surround the base with snipers to cover their backs. Speak tells them over the radio that they have to be quiet and get to the plane before he can bring in the fuel. As they ride, Karen calls Gerry, and his ringtone wakes the zombies. The men proceed to move with zombies on their tails when Speak takes down a group of them with the fuel truck. The refueling begins as Gerry and his team fight zombies in front of the plane. A zombie attacks Gerry and Speak saves him but gets bitten himself. As Gerry is being loaded on board, Speak tells his men that he'll kill himself before he turns. Gerry sees him do it from the plane. One of his team walks out to detach the fuel line as Gerry gets in the cockpit, locking the door behind him so the zombies don't come in. Plane takes off, leaving the chaos of South Korea behind. With a new destination in mind, Gerry informs the pilot of their next stop. Gerry heads to Jerusalem next. The city is a beacon of hope amidst the global chaos, with people being allowed in through a controlled gate. However, the peace is short-lived. A loud celebration within the city walls attracts a horde of zombies who manage to scale the wall and wreak havoc within the city. In the ensuing chaos, Gerry and Sagan attempt to escape, but Sagan is bitten on her arm by a zombie. Gerry reacts quickly and cuts off her hand to stop the spread of the virus in her body. Gerry and the Israeli soldier Sagan manage to escape the city just in time by getting onto a plane at the airport. As they fly away, Gerry makes a startling observation. The zombies are ignoring some individuals. This leads him to a groundbreaking theory. The zombies are avoiding the sick. Their flight, however, is far from peaceful. A stowaway zombie initiates an outbreak on the plane, turning passengers into zombies one by one. Gerry, thinking quickly, instructs the remaining passengers to use their luggage to create a barrier between them and the advancing zombies. The terrified passengers work together, stacking suitcases to form a makeshift wall. Despite their efforts, the situation escalates. The zombies are relentless, and the barrier won't hold them off for long. In a desperate bid to save the remaining survivors, Gerry pulls the pin on a hand grenade and throws it toward the back of the plane, hoping to eliminate the zombies. The resulting explosion tears a hole in the plane. The zombies, along with the debris, are sucked out of the plane, but the damage to the aircraft is catastrophic. The plane spirals out of control and crashes. Gerry and Sagan are the only survivors, finding themselves near the WHO research facility in Cardiff. Despite being wounded and disoriented, Gerry manages to lead Sagan to the facility, where they are taken into custody by the staff. Meanwhile, back on the UN ship, Gerry's family is informed that contact with Gerry's plane was lost. In the absence of any information, Gerry is assumed dead, and his family is relocated to a refugee camp in Nova Scotia. Back at the WHO facility, Gerry wakes up from his delirium and is questioned by the staff. He convinces them of his identity by having them call Thierry on his satellite phone. Gerry learns about his family's relocation and is determined to reunite with them. Gerry shares his theory with the host staff. The zombies ignore the sick. He proposes a daring plan to test his theory. The facility has a stock of deadly pathogens, but they are located in a wing overrun by zombies. Gerry, Sagan, and a brave Ho doctor decide to venture into the infected wing to retrieve a pathogen. The journey through the zombie-infested wing is fraught with danger. They manage to reach the vault containing the pathogens, but not without alerting the zombies. One of the zombies notices Gerry and stares at him through the glass door, so Gerry is left with no choice but to inject himself with a pathogen, hoping his theory is correct. As he steps out of the vault, the zombie ignores him, confirming his theory. Gerry's infection makes him invisible to the zombies. He manages to return to the safe wing of the facility, where he is cured of the pathogen. Subscribe to CinemaScoop so you never miss the latest movie explanations, reviews, and analyses. Thanks for watching.